So at this time, it brings us to our public participation. And I want to remind our speakers tonight that under Board Policy BEDH, the Board welcomes and encourages public participation as we do at every meeting. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and Dr. Harris will help you keep time and let you know as that time is expiring. And questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And I'll remind you that part of that policy provides that no attacks on board members or employees of the district are allowed in the policy. Attacks or accusations are not allowed under BEDH. And with that, I will call on our one participant tonight, and that's Ms. Kim Murphy. Ms. Murphy.
Good evening. Fraud, waste, and abuse, a growing concern in school districts. At the last meeting, I attempted to discuss this concern, but was embarrassed and humiliated when you, Mr. Gant, cut me off from speaking because I generally use the word corruption, and then threatened to have me removed with law enforcement officers. I calmly and without violation of any policies was expressing my concerns. I believe this was a violation of my freedom of speech. I am not making any allegations against the current CFO or district employees, but red flags have been raised in several areas, including from actions of school board members. The number of school districts in the state that in recent years have been involved with FBI, SLED, IRS, and ethics investigations, including districts like ours, is a serious concern. Do a simple Google search. The number of district officials having been investigated and arrested for embezzlement, money laundering, and public corruption is startling.
Ms. Murphy, I'm going to hold your time right there until you're getting very borderline. And you're talking about other districts in the state. We all read the newspaper, and I'm very proud of our record in this district. So, again, I'm going to warn you, you know what our policy calls for. And you're not calling names, but be very specific about what you're saying and what you're not saying. Now, your time is going to start again.
Many of these cases relate to school construction and renovation projects, misconduct with school building bond referendums, irregular accounting practices, procurement and misappropriation of taxpayer dollars, and kickbacks. The investigation, indictments, and grand jury subpoenas include superintendents, CFOs, community relation directors, and district construction offices. Some districts include Beaufort County, Florence, Williamsburg, Sumter, Lawrence, Berkeley, Jasper, Liberty, and Charleston County. The abuses have happened because of the lack of oversight by board members, whether intentional or not, in their policies, and because the basic annual audits prepared by district-hired CPAs are insufficient to discover fraud, waste, and abuse. To assure these abuses aren't happening here in District 5, and to assure taxpayers their money is spent wisely, it is incumbent that you take protection measures with an independent, comprehensive forensic audit of the district's finances, including bond expenditures from the bond issues approved by voters in 2008. Periodic forensic audits are a matter of good financial housekeeping. They take a much deeper look at the district's money beyond the basic annual audit. There's a real possibility, as with these other districts, that there are individuals within District 5 currently stealing or committing fraud. A healthy organization does not fear a close look to prevent or uncover fraud, waste, and abuse. You may not want to hear from constituents that are concerned of this potential, but the red flags and your recent actions to keep people from expressing these concerns, changing board policies that prevent citizens from asking questions, and getting written answers from the district, and deleting the requirement to post the answers on your website give an indication that does not instill trust or that you have any desire to have possible corruption exposed or to improve accountability. Thank you very much, and I hope you will give my recommendation serious thought.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Ms. Murphy, as you take your seat, I'm going to tell you that you tiptoed all around our policy. You used the words corruption and possible corruption and looking at those things in District 5 as a forensic audit. After your last public participation attempt, we did some checking. That forensic audit, although it can happen, is not required. We did audits all along the way with our District 5 2008 bond referendum, whether you agree with them or not. There are not any accusations out there of any wrongdoing, of things you cite. And because of the things we all read across the state of other issues, and you cited those, they do happen, and I'm very proud of our accountability in this district. We've accounted for all the dollars. We did it on a very structured basis throughout those projects, and I still take it very personally that you tiptoe all around our policies there. You're not being denied any right to speak. You spoke tonight, but you have got to adhere to our policy, and I'll ask you to continue to do that in the future. But as far as a forensic audit, a very expensive process. I hadn't heard anybody say we are offered to pay for this process, but it's not required. We're quite comfortable as a board of where we are, the spending, and quite proud of what we got for the 2008 bond referendum dollars that the majority of this community approved. So thank you. So that will conclude our public.
Mr. Gant, may I say one thing before you move forward?
Yes, Mr. White.
I find it very problematic that we sit here and listen to Ms. Murphy all but try to indirectly accuse people on this board of fraud. That's a very serious allegation. And if she thinks there's fraud, you ought to go report it somewhere. But I don't think she should be allowed to use that microphone to try to put unwarranted inferences. And people don't waste money on forensic audits. Hiring your own audit is a normal process. Not only school districts, governments, businesses do. They don't voluntarily go just get forensic audits because you're wasting money. We've won accounting awards for the systems that are kept here. But it's a very serious thing for us to have to sit at this table and have her allege fraud by people up here. And I think if we need to go back and revisit our policy and eliminate her ability to speak, then maybe we ought to do that. But we need to put an end to this. I mean, this is, it's very, very much trying to project a message that's false. And if you got evidence of fraud, you need to be ready to prove it before you come alleging people up here committing fraud.
Thank you, Mr. White. Very well spoken. That concludes our public participation. Takes us to our action agenda, item number 13.